People of Reddit, when did you have a gut feeling that later saved your life? 1. This one is weird and a bit spooky, but when I was around 10, me, my mom and sister had gone to pick up a new propane canister from the store, and we were heading to a shopping center to get haircuts. While we were in the turning lane into the strip mall, my mom popped a cigarette into her mouth and was able to light it. My sister said, "Mom, we're here, what's the point?" That in and of itself was out of character for my sister, but for my mom to actually listen and put it away was, in retrospect, ludicrous. But listen, she did. After about 10 minutes we were in the salon, everyone starts looking out the window and rubbernecking. A fire truck, full lights and down blazing, had come screaming into the parking lot. We realized pretty quick that they were surrounding my mom's car. Apparently someone had called saying they smelled propane and had identified it was coming from my mom's car. We rush out and they keep us back away. We explain it's our car and hand them the keys so they can get in. After a couple minutes evaluation, the firemen came to us and explained that the tank had a major leak and they had to dispose of it. That's when the gravity of my sister stopping my mom from lighting up hit us like a ton of bricks. We tell the firefighters the story, and the look on their faces was a lot. The head fireman looked a bit unsteady and tells my mom that based on the leak they found, after about 5 minutes of the gas escaping, we had created a bomb essentially. We had been in car 5 to 7 minutes after picking up and heading to the salon. He explained that if she had lit that cigarette, we would have exploded right there in the turning lane. Really wild stuff. Thanks, Kel. You saved our 2. One day in kindergarten, my lunch kit included my dad's work thermos. It was charcoal gray and I was kind of proud to use something that was usually just for adults, and not my usual plastic cartoon character container. When it was lunchtime, we all pulled out our lunch kits and drinks. While doing so, I knocked the thermos off the table and it hit the floor. When I picked it up and placed it on the table, I thought it was pretty neat that even after hours at school, the ice inside was still frozen, as you could hear it when moving the container. For some reason, I kept trying to get my teacher's attention to show her how the ice was still frozen and floating in my drink. She understandably wasn't as excited as I was, so she blew me off. I kept at it over and over, and she finally relented, unscrewing the cap to see my oh-so-exciting drink. When she opened it, she quickly pulled it away from my view and asked me if I drank any yet. I hadn't, and told her so, but was very confused. She explained that the thermos was lined with glass that shattered when I dropped it, and the icy clinking noise came from the glass shards inside. Still don't understand why I kept nagging her to see my dumb thermos, but it's scary to imagine drinking from it. 3. I had a very important meeting the next morning but was feeling off. I took 2 Benadryl and went to bed. Woke up a few hours later with a full-on anaphylaxis. Doctor said I probably would have in my sleep if I hadn't taken the antihistamine. I never reached for Benadryl, so I have no idea why I thought to take it. 4. February 4th, 2021, I was asleep in my truck in the daytime as I worked nights. For no reason at all, I woke up early afternoon, which was unusual for me. It also annoyed me as if disrupted my sleep, and I really need to be well rested to drive all night. Couldn't understand why I suddenly jolted awake and couldn't go back to sleep at an unusual time. Around 5 minutes later, my window wipers switched on, despite the fact the keys were out of the ignition and thus impossible to activate. I opened my curtains to investigate and heard cackling noises. Then the smoke started pouring out of the air vents. I quickly threw some clothes on and hopped out, but the cab filled up with smoke in seconds. As I jumped out, I saw an orange glow. The fire began in the fuse box and melted through the dash, and had spread to where the curtains were seconds before. I used the fire extinguisher to put the fire out. I sleep through World War III, especially after a night shift. I have no idea what woke me that afternoon, but if I didn't, then I never would have woke up again. The fire spread in a matter of seconds, and the closed fabric blinds surrounding me wouldn't have helped. 5. I didn't go at a green light when it changed. I always do. I'm quick off the line. I like driving. One time I just didn't. I sat there for a second. A moment goes by and a Dodge Durango with the driver on the phone blasts through a red light. I was in my Honda del Sol. It would have annihilated me. 6. Not going with my friends to the finish line at the local marathon. Because I wouldn't go, none of my friends went either. About 30 minutes later, a roommate came running through the halls covered in sweat. He said he started running when the bombs went off. 6. During one of my shifts of delivering pizza, we had 2 orders come in at around midnight. We were open till 1. Back then it was mostly a cash business. The first stop was in a very sketchy area, and the second stop about maybe a quarter mile down the road, if not closer, to another apartment complex. I got to the first stop and the person at the door seemed odd. I'm walking back to the car and a few guys rolled up on me asking some innocent type of questions. Not wanting to offend, I answered them concisely and proceeded on my way to the next stop. Unfortunately, I had to park a bit away and walk around the building to get to the door. But now I'm on high alert because the whole previous situation left me feeling uneasy and vulnerable. I quickly raced my way to the door, dropped off the food and ran back to my car. I get in, quickly started up and throw it in reverse. Next thing I noticed is the same 3 guys surrounding my car with a gun in my face. I floored it in reverse, threw it into first and hauled ass out of there while ducking underneath the doors and steering wheel. Obviously they were there to rob me by whatever means necessary and got cold feet on their first probable attempt. This was 14-ish years ago and an experience I'll never forget. 8. Used to work as a chemical operator for a company that made sulfuric acid reagents and other extremely corrosive compounds. I've been training a new hire for the past 3 months. We're working on a part of the process which is pretty straightforward. We're just checking the lines and opening a valve. During this step, most of the experienced guys don't gown up in a full body suit of personal protective equipment because of laziness. Keep in mind the company I worked for didn't have the most strict safety standards. But because I was training a new guy and wanted to set a good example, I made sure we were both fully garbed up. Also, people do stupid things sometimes. However, there was something wrong with the pressure that day. day. When I opened up the valve, a glass hole cover literally exploded. We were sprayed with sulfuric acid head to toe. Thankfully, we were wearing full PPE. We went over to the emergency shower, rinsed each other off. I got a lot of positive remarks from upper management for that day for following safety standards.